This is a Formica table. Like that. Green is its color.
Inspired by the adventures of our nurses, therapists, and techs, A Beer with Atlas is the only healthcare traveling, craft beer drinking podcast. Each week, we'll open a few beers, talk about the brewery and the style of beer, and then dive into some research curated specifically for each episode. In the end, we hope each one sounds like a conversation you'd have with your friends while enjoying a few cold ones.
Oh, back to the Zoom calls. Welcome to another episode of A Beer with Atlas. I'm Rich.
I'm at home.
I'm at home too.
Yay. I thought this year was supposed to be different. I thought 2021, it was all supposed to just get better overnight. I guess
not quite there yet.
Well, anyway. I mean, if you get your news from Facebook memes, that would be the case.
I rely on Brian's Facebook memes to get me through the day, quite honestly. So I guess that's true.
I have a lot of sources. I get them sent to me from 30 different people every day.
So this week, a beer that we've sat on it for a little bit because Dolan brought this back from his trip to Chicago not too long ago. Is that correct, Dolan?
Yep. Lil Buddy.
The Lil Buddy. This is possibly the smallest beer that we've ever had. And maybe this is one of those situations where actually being on camera, you can see because this can is tiny. It's an 8-ounce can.
Yes.
I've never seen this before in a beer.
I have, but only in Louisiana.
Why Louisiana?
I don't know if it was some liquor law thing there, but when we would go down there for Mardi Gras, you could buy 8-ounce bottles of like any domestic beer. Or they would have 8-ounce or 10-ounce cans of like Bud Light or something. So you had to be careful when you went into the store because the packaging looked the same, but you'd be getting like 37 8-ounce cans. Yeah. So you really got to just slam them hard, so you had to know what you're getting into. But it's been probably 10 years since I've seen an 8-ounce can.
It's fun. So Lil Buddy, a little lager is what it's called, from Hopewell Brewing Company of Chicago.
Yeah.
This is fun.
I like the little thing. It says, Lil Buddy is a delightful little lager, a snack, a proverbial +1. This easygoing, lighthearted lager siddles? Oh my gosh, I can't read that. I don't know how to say that word. Sidles right up with other boozy pals, but surely holds its own if you're looking for a little less, which sometimes is more.
Sidles. It's like he's a sidler. That's a Seinfeld where he comes up right beside him and you don't even know. Like he's a sidler.
Yep.
I've never heard that term before.
Yeah. You know what? It instantly smells, and I understand this is a lager. It instantly smells like apple juice.
Oh, it does.
Doesn't it? Like a mild-ish apple juice.
Man, so the reason we're back on Zoom is because I just got over with my 10-day CDC recommended quarantine. We tested positive for COVID, and I just got my smell back yesterday. So this is
good
awesome.
Timing.
Yeah. I didn't lose my taste, but definitely got my smell back.
All right. First impression on this, it's delicious. It's easy. It's light.
Makes me wish it was 100 degrees outside.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. This could be a pool beer, lawn mowing beer all day long.
Yeah, for sure.
So Hopewell Brewing is located at 2760 North Milwaukee Avenue in Chicago. Closed on Monday, as any good brewery should be. Open 2 to 7 Tuesday through Thursday, noon to 8 Friday and Saturday, and Sunday noon to 5. They describe themselves as a progressive craft brewery located in Logan Square, which is just west of Lincoln Park in Chicago, or north of Humboldt Park, if you're familiar with the Chicago area. Of course, this is very important to me. How far is it from Wrigley Field?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, you knew that was coming. 16-minute cab, Uber, car ride to Wrigley, or there are buses that run. You can take a bus north to the Blue Line and take the Blue Line to the Clark and Addison stop there at Wrigley.
And I assume you did the same information for Comiskey?
Yeah, I seem to have lost that.
Oh, okay.
All
right. Well, we'll get back to that, I would guess.
Isn't it called Guaranteed Rate Field now?
I don't know.
Whatever it's called. It's
probably Division Winter Field this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Dolan, tell me this, as I was looking at their website, did you go to the supermarket?
Yeah. Yes.
That's where you got these from?
This is where I got it. Now, is it actually called the supermarket?
It's called the Hopewell. Yeah, Hopewell Supermarket.
No. So I went to a supermarket.
Oh, okay.
Well, and I don't even know if it was called a supermarket, but we were down, I don't even remember where we were in Chicago, but there was this little coffee place on the corner, coffee place, restaurant, store thing. And they had the beer in there, and I found these in a 4-pack, and I had to get it because I've never seen this small can or whatever. Yeah. Plus, when I looked at it and it said Chicago or whatever, and I knew I wasn't going to have time to make it to this brewery, so I had to grab it. But it was actually a pretty cool place. It's one of the mainstream shopping places in Chicago, strips, area, neighborhood, whatever.
Okay.
And yeah, it was there. It was pretty awesome. They served coffee and kombucha and beer on tap. And it was a grocery store. It had everything you needed.
Sounds good.
This sounds very Chicago to me. Like, I mean, you could have said, I was in a city and this is what I experienced. I have experienced that so many times in Chicago that it's because everyone lives in apartments, and you walk to the Jewel Osco, or you walk to your grocery store or whatever. Like, this is where you go instead of driving to Walmart like we do, or Hy-Vee, or or whatever. Like, this is just how they live. This is how they live in town.
I think I saw on their website that I couldn't tell that they sold anything else there other than their beers. So I don't know if it's just a fun way to, instead of say tap room or to go, they just called it a supermarket. Maybe that's a city Chicago thing. I don't know, but they also sold hard seltzer there, I saw.
Here's what as I did my research on them, and I've got quite a bit here, quite honestly, because they seem like amazingly interesting people if you could sit down and talk to them. And honestly, this is like slice of life Midwest Chicago as you possibly could get. Like, again, drop this into a conversation and I would be able to tell you these people are from Chicago.
Okay.
Founded in 2016 by 3 friends, Samantha Lee, Stephen, 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 or I don't know if it's Stephen or Stephen.
Yeah.
I apologize. Basso, B-O-S-S-U, Basso, and Jonathan Fritz. They met in the early 2000s, going to college together. And like a lot of stories you've heard before, they started home brewing and thought, maybe we could sell this someday. But that someday didn't come for 16 years. Samantha and Stephen got married at some point along the way and moved to Portland for a while. Then they lived in Brooklyn for a while. So big city life, right? I mean, they're not small town people whatsoever. Samantha worked for nonprofits. Stephen worked for breweries. So that's, as it kind of went along the way, he maintained that kind of that connection while she worked for a different number of nonprofits. And then Jonathan worked in food sales. So the grocery thing absolutely makes sense for them. Eventually, they all make it back to Chicago. 2016, they opened Hopewell Brewing. So I think kind of their combined life experiences in that 16 years was necessary for them to get to this place. It doesn't look like any other kind of brewery that I've that you would think it's a very open, bright, progressive. It almost looks like an Apple store in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
If you saw
real
the
modern.
pictures,
Yeah.
very modern, which is totally fine. Which is funny because I did some TripAdvisor research later. I'll get to that because people actually reference that, and I think that's funny. That
Oh.
at least from a craft beer standpoint, the perception of that maybe.
Yeah, because a lot of times with breweries, it's industrial, pipes and ceilings exposed, or a lot of wood, dark usually inside, that sort of stuff. So you definitely notice it when it's different.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was one that as you're walking, it probably looks like any other downtown sort of business that you would see in Chicago until you actually walked in and then realized, wait a minute, this is a brewery. The outside of it looks very just as other businesses would look there in like a downtown Chicago area.
I have a couple of different things of research that I did, and I don't want to jump on your brewery if you have more, but this is a shot in the dark. So this might not even, you guys might not think this at all, but what do you think of when you look at this font? Like what's something that comes to mind for you?
It's like, it's almost sort of Sesame Street-ish, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say like PBS Kids.
Yeah.
I thought when I initially saw that, it took me right to the 1950s. For some reason. I was like, oh, that looks like 1950s ad font to me.
Like Cereal or Howdy Doody
or something you'd see in a magazine.
Absolutely.
So then I thought, okay, well, what's something from that time frame that I'm maybe interested in, or something that reminds me of this? And it was furniture. Which is strange, right? So we're going down this road a little bit. The company is called Acme Chrome Furniture. So if you've ever been to a place that was supposed to be from the 50s, like a diner or a malt shop, they have this furniture in there. Shiny chrome legs on the tables and the chairs, and usually circle tables. Basically like an ice cream shop is what this sort of stuff is. It started in 1946, this company making this furniture, coming out of World War II. They made it really popular in the 50s and into the early 1960s. And everybody had, like every restaurant, every diner, this is what you would see. They make ice cream style chairs. So the kind that are like scrolled, look like that kind of wire, I guess you would say. Pub tables you can get. So like at a bar, like you would see now, like if we're at a tasting room or something and two of us are standing at a tall table, they make those. Paperclip design chairs. So the legs of the chair actually look like the curve of a paperclip. Yep. They make tables. In 1995, the company was still around making other kinds of furniture and stuff. As the times change, people's tastes change and stuff, and they had to update and change their stuff too. But in 1995, they were moving like their business warehouse, and they found all the original like molds and stuff, and like the presses for the metal to bend it and stuff. And they said, well, this is kind of becoming popular again. Everything that's old becomes new, new generations of people. So they started making it again. So technically it's not like, I don't know what the term would be, like not boy, this is tough. So it's the original stuff. It's not like somebody said that and like, oh, we're just going to remake the same thing. Like a reproduction, I guess. These are original, using the original thing. So you can still buy this stuff now. I looked, there's websites all over the place. Acme Chrome Furniture is still around. You can still order 1950 style table and chair set, dinette, whatever you want. A lot of this stuff was made in Manitoba, Canada. So in 49 to 59, that was their big sales years. Companies called Daystrom and Chromecraft, and then Ann Marcos Furniture. That was in Courtenay, British Columbia. So a lot of this came out of Canada. Some of it came right over to like in Detroit. And I think maybe that's why it sticks in my brain, maybe, I guess, is like 50s and early 60s style stuff. Like if you watch Scooby-Doo as a kid, they're in the malt shop. This is the furniture that's in the malt shop. So,
I grew up. My dad he was a car guy. His favorite car was a 1955 Chevy Nomad. Like that was his jam. And so growing up, I would go to car club meetings. I go like, this is it. Like that malt shop kind of like doo-wop culture, like that whole thing. That's absolutely what I think of when you say like 1950s, like that metal style.
Yeah.
Doubt. Yeah.
But it's also something I would never normally think about. Like, I think it's cool, but I would not have that in my house. But I thought, oh, that's what it reminded me of. The other thing, when I started doing this furniture stuff, another like big piece of 50s related is Formica. So you're talking like countertops and stuff you would see, you know, in your house and at the restaurant, things like that. So I did a little bit of research on that because for me, it's still, if I look at this, it just looks like a tabletop. I don't know why, that's just stuck in my brain.
Yeah, I can see that.
So Formica, which is like the material that they use to make the tabletop, I guess, starts out in 1913. And it's created to insulate electrical wires. Before that, they used actual mica, which is like a mineral. You have to get out of the earth. And they made this as a way to not have to buy that stuff as much. It was cheaper. It was faster. They could make it themselves. They didn't have to wait for somebody to send them the stuff. And that's why it's called Formica, because it's instead of mica, this is what you're using it for. So
okay, so this is why I love doing what we do, because I would never ever have. So mica is a thing. Formica is just like fake mica.
Yeah. And it was used for electrical stuff. But then they figured out these guys that were using it in this company in Pittsburgh. They're like, hey, we can use this for a lot of other stuff. Let's see what the company says. And these guys were named Daniel O'Connor. He was the engineer. Herbert Faber was in sales, so he was selling this stuff to other, electrical places and whatnot. And the company was called Westinghouse. You've probably heard of them.
Oh, yeah.
They're Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh. Well, they had a patent for it, and Westinghouse was, as the contract back in the day, if you had an idea and they liked it and you worked for them, all they had to do was give you $1 and it was theirs. So it's kind of like probably stuff with like software nowadays, things like that. You have an idea, you work for them, it's theirs. Comics probably the same way, sort of stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So for a buck. Yeah,
that's a racket.
Kicking the shorts. Let's see. Then in 1938, they came up with this new way to treat this stuff, this Formica or resin. It's like a liquid plastic, basically. And it made it so that it could withstand heat, and you couldn't really scratch it. It wiped water off really well. And they thought, okay, this is now the time where we should really move this out of the electrical engineering side and like use it for other stuff. This company that these guys kind of started to make this stuff, they bought the main supply of mica and Formica. So they're like monopoly on this stuff, right? They have it all. And that's in the 30s. You could also use it to make different colors. So if you've seen yellow countertops or green, lime green, like any of that stuff, you can put dye in it, and that's how it works. In the 40s, they used it to make airplane propellers, which seems scary to me, but you didn't have a lot of metals, and I don't know, you didn't use wood anymore at that point in time. So they used hard plastic to fly the jets. In 1956, the Formica Corporation was bought by American Cyanamid. They are the ones that made the stuff that you could turn into resin. So now they are hopping into bed with each other. So now they're all like buying each other's stuff, and they're all owned by the same place. So that instead of outsourcing, they just bought all the businesses that make all the stuff that they needed to do the stuff. Then they got hit with the old antitrust lawsuit. They had to break it up a little, but they had a good run. Something that you'll see if you think about a Formica tabletop in the chrome furniture we were talking about earlier, The most popular one was a boomerang design. So it kind of looked almost like a kidney shape. And you'd see them all over, usually in like silver or aqua blue, that sort of stuff. That was all over the place. They used it as well to make kitchen tabletops, countertops, bar tops. So if you had a wet bar in your house, like people did back in those days, you'd have this on a kick plate. You know what those are? Like on a door. Those are cool, I guess. I had one in my old house, but
On the bottom, yeah.
so you'd have some design there. Desktops, sink tops. They used them in bathrooms. So let's say at Atlas, you got to, maybe you had a bad lunch. You got to run in the bathroom real quick. There's those partitions in between the stalls. This would have, in the 50s, had Formica designs on those, and that was something that they used it for. And telephone booths, which we don't think about anymore. But yeah, they had design and purpose, and these people tried to make them pretty. And then the other thing I thought of just to talk about a little bit was that Formica became more than just the brand name. It became the name for everything that looked like that.
Like Kleenex?
That's what I wrote down. So Kleenex is an example, and duct tape is an example. I was wondering if you guys had any other ones that you could think of. Dolan looks like he does.
I don't.
I think, Kleenex is the one that comes to mind. I think maybe in my world, outside of this is Dolan's world every day, maybe yours too, Brian, it's every guitar to me is a Fender guitar, because all I know is Fender, right? And I know that's not true, but I know there's Gibsons and, or whatever,
Sure.
but that's just one of those things.
Default name?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a Fender guitar or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Germex. All hand sanitizers, Germex. I don't know.
Yeah, I was trying to think of some other examples, and that was my main ones. I think probably back in the day, you could say cornflakes or something, maybe like for breakfast cereal, because that was a big, or just Kellogg's. Otherwise, I guess also sometimes in the South, don't they call a lot of Pops Coke?
Coke, yeah.
Give me a Pepsi Coke or something like that, I've heard. I don't know if that's true, but
even if you're ordering a Sprite, I think is Coke.
You have to say Coke because that means soda, and then you have to say the flavor that you want, I think is how it works.
Something, yeah. A Coke.
People are weird.
Sprite.
Give me I'll take a Kleenex Cottonelle. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and facial tissues doesn't cut it. It's just Kleenex. That's it.
Right. Yeah, Kleenex. Yeah.
Everything in my world generally relates back to a couple of things, right? Generally, it's either movies or music or like pop culture stuff, like comic books and action figures and that type of thing, right? Mm-hmm. So when you said Formica, there's a scene in Twin Peaks. Did either of you ever watch Twin Peaks?
The show?
Yeah. Or the movie, Fire Walk With Me.
I saw the movie, yeah.
Okay. So there's a scene where, and I had to look up his name because I remember him in Carnival. His name is Michael J. Anderson. He's the little person that appears in the dream sequences. And there is a scene, for whatever reason, this is always stuck with me. So whenever someone says Formica, it always goes back in my head. They recorded, in order to get the weird jerky movements, in the dream sequence, they learned all of their lines backwards. So they memorized all of their lines backwards, and then they played it forward. So they walked backwards and they said their lines backwards. So from end to beginning, they would say the word backwards. So feel, let's say I'm looking at feel here on my sheet, would be left. But then you play forward and it's feel. But it sounds
weird. Yeah.
So there's the one point during the dream sequence where he's standing at a pub table, a very similar like what you described, and he's running his hands over it. And in the weird sort of, and I can hear it in my head, he says, "This is a Formica table," like that. "Green is its color."
This is a Formica table.
And that is always
That's
stuck
creepy.
in my head. weird. It would freak me out, but still, go look that scene up. Or maybe Colin could drop it just the audio in here because, man, it's weird. But Formica, that has always stuck with me when someone says Formica is Michael J. Anderson and his backwards talking acting that they ran forward.
So that's random, man. That's our brains.
Talking about Formica with Lil Buddy here is
that's right.
Is fairly random as well. But
well, I'm gonna go ahead.
But true to our word, these are conversations that we would have with your friends while drinking beers.
Now, normally, I'm fine to talk about 1950s furniture, but I know that Dolan maybe isn't into that. But something that he is into, we're going to get into right now. And this is something that's out of my comfort zone. So you might have to help me with some of the pronunciations. I went through and I wrote down a list of Lil rappers.
Oh.
Because it's Lil Buddy. And I thought, hey, that's something. So some of them I know, some of them I don't. Right. Lil Dicky, he was the first one I pulled up for me.
Oh my gosh, love that guy.
Amazing freestyler. I do know that.
And he's kind
an
of
actor too. He has a TV show.
Yeah, he Dave, I think.
Yeah.
But he's also like not only is he a really good freestyler, but he's kind of on the like comedy rap side.
Yeah, he's funny.
A lot of his stuff is more funny. Yeah.
Yeah. How about this one? Lil Peep. And then I wrote R.I.P. next to him.
Yes, Lil Peep. He's kind of like that Machine Gun Kelly type rapper.
Well, that's funny that you mentioned that because the next one I wrote down is Lil Uzi Vert. Another gun reference there. Lil Uzi. Then I wrote down Lil Baby. Apparently that's something that's happening.
Yeah. Don't mess with Lil Baby.
Okay, there you go. Hear it from Dolan. Then here's one I actually knew, Lil Wayne. He's not Lil anymore. He's like old man Wayne, but still that counts. Lil Kim. She was probably the first Lil I was ever to. Lil Xan, surprisingly, had an opioid problem.
Yeah.
So that's him.
Was it I think Lil Xan dated Noah Cyrus?
I think you're right. You're right. How about this guy? You don't call him this no more, but when he first hit, he was Lil Bow Wow.
Lil Bow Wow.
Now he's Big Bow Wow. Here's one that everybody probably knows, at least the song, Lil Nas X. Braden's favorite country musician of all time.
Yes.
Lil Scrappy.
I don't know that one.
I don't know. And here's one I liked. Not a rapper, but a pop culture phenomenon. The cat known as Lil Bub. You know about Lil Bub?
No.
Lil Bub was this little cat that I think was in Indiana, like 2011, was born, and passed away in 2019. It had some sort of like congenital problems. So his face looked kind of all smushed and weird, and his tongue would hang out all the time. And kind of was, I wrote down in my notes, feline dwarfism. So a dwarf cat. And he became popular and kind of was like meme culture and was on the internet and stuff. He had a TV talk show in 2013 where he would ask, the cat. So somebody would talk for the cat and he would just sit there and do these cool reactions. And then there was a documentary that's just called Lil Bub and Friends that you can check out. But you got to, if you see a picture of him, you'll know him. A long time ago, I saw him interviewing musicians. Yeah, there, Dolan's got it.
Yeah.
He was interviewing I think I saw him interview Ryan Adams one time and maybe Billy Corrigan, people like that. And they were phenomenal. It's just comedy. But
this isn't the same cat that we're seeing now that is on the side of the screen bobbing its head. It's not the same cat.
No.
You see me doing it like this?
Yeah, I love that cat though. No, this cat's I don't even know what you'd call that color.
You can't describe him.
Yeah, but
grayish.
He looks like
his eyes stick out, his tongue sticks out, his face looks all smushed. He was just real cute.
Yeah.
So he was cool before Grumpy Cat was cool?
Around the same time. But he had more street cred.
Lil Bud over Grumpy Cat?
Yeah. Lil Bub was more like underground, where Grumpy Cat was everywhere. Like there's a little golden book about Grumpy Cat that we have at my house, but we don't have no Lil Bub books.
I'm surprised you didn't bring up after Lil Bow Wow, Lil Romeo.
There wasn't enough time to get all the Lils in there.
I heard there was quite the feud there.
There was for a while, boy.
Yeah.
More than a Lil beef.
Look, if your name's Lil in any way, you really can't have a feud. Not a serious feud, really.
I don't know. I'm not starting any with anybody on this list.
Which one was in the movies? Lil Romeo or Lil Bow Wow?
Bow Wow, I think he was in a roller skating movie. I remember seeing at one point.
The basketball movies.
I don't know.
I'm thinking
Space Jam. Are you thinking of Space Jam?
Like Mike. Like Mike. Yeah, that was a Lil Bow Wow.
There you go. So did you think we'd get here?
No. Maybe the little part. I don't know. Maybe the little part.
You got to take inspiration from where you can.
This is delicious. This is great. I need more of this. This could be an everyday. This is an everyday drinker for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it was more than 8 ounces.
Well, and that's the thing. They came in 4 packs, which was surprising. With the
I actually wrote it down here. Like you said, it's a snack. It's a snack.
Yeah.
It's like an appetizer. Or they said the proverbial +1. I know some places if you buy a drink at the bar, you get a side beer or something like that, or like a whatever shot. So this is kind of, I guess, in that style of things. I don't know. This would go good with some deep dish pizza.
Oh,
that would. Without a doubt. Yeah.
We did that right away. My wife is sucrose, lactose, and fructose intolerant. And our first thing we ate was deep dish pizza when we got to Chicago. Then maybe ruined the rest of the night, the first night here. But it was worth it.
It says you.
So the last little bit of information I have on these guys is on Samantha Lee, who's one of the owners, very, very involved. She said something that I have said so many times here, at least for us at Atlas. She said, this was in an interview that she did for a magazine article I found online. She said, our business is very personal, which I guess, when we hear this some with beer, I mean, what we do, at least with us and healthcare professionals is very personal, because what they do in the hospital is a very personal thing too. So, but to hear someone from the brewing industry say that, I thought that was interesting. They have worked with a couple different nonprofits along the way through like elections and stuff. In 2018, they put out a call to action and then raised money to eliminate anti-voter suppression. So for anti-voter suppression efforts, they're participating in a big national campaign for a nonprofit called Healing to Action, whose mission is to end gender-based violence. You can, if you go to their website and you order their beer, you can add anywhere between $10 and $50 to your cart as a donation then to either that or whatever cause that they're working with, as this goes on. It's really important to all three of them that this has been a thing that, especially with her coming from nonprofits, but then all three of them being like-minded, is important to them. I thought that was interesting. I'd never seen a place before where you can add a donation to your cart along with whatever you're purchasing at the same time.
I know that here locally, Pint 9, they have a different charity that they give money to every month. And then there's certain days of the week that when you go in there, then they get like a percentage of your sales or whatever. And every month the charities change. It goes anywhere from animal stuff to voter things like you were talking about, like cleaning up parks, that just all sorts of different community things, which is kind of fun.
I think it's just kind of a sign of the times where it's, any of these, there are a lot of businesses that kind of have that social aspect in mind to like, okay, our main focus is this, but we have a responsibility back to our community to give back and to help is because they have that platform. And I think they especially, at least from a brewing standpoint there in Chicago, take that very seriously.
Yeah, it just seems like that would be a fun place to go. I would like to go to this place.
That's a good segue. So TripAdvisor, I've gone back to looking up, okay, what do people on TripAdvisor say? Because, okay, we haven't gone on a lot of trips, obviously, over the past year.
Yeah, like me, none, nowhere.
Right. But this data hasn't gone away. So they rank 149th as of TripAdvisor right now, right? I mean, obviously things have changed, but as of right now, they rank 149th out of 459 for nightlife in Chicago. So, I mean, I think downtown Chicago, I mean, that's not bad. That's pretty fair. There were only 5 reviews there on TripAdvisor, and they were all excellent. They all had the 5 stars, except for one, and it has 3 stars. And this was the review, and this will go back to kind of what we talked about before. The one not so positive review, the reviewer said, "This is too clean for me. Too bright, too clean, too pristine of a crowd. I'd much rather go drink my beers in an old warehouse or factory building."
Yep.
Look, if that's
your complaint, yeah.
If that's your complaint, then you are doing something amazingly right, I guess, or different.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, it's too clean for me. Well, take your slobs somewhere else. Get out of here.
I like to drink my beer in a parking lot.
A paper bag behind a dumpster at Wendy's.
Like I said, if you look at this place, man, it looks like an Apple store. Like it's that clean and bright and fresh and fun and just it's a place that next time I'm in Chicago, I was just lamenting to my wife not too long ago that, man, I miss Chicago a lot. That this would be on the list to go to for sure.
Well, hopefully, I saw in the news last night that they're talking a full spring training and normal baseball schedule this year. So maybe you'll be able to get up there.
Maybe. Hopefully soon. So, okay, Untapped. Let's go check that out and see, where do you think this falls? 1,861 check-ins, so not a ton, but for a brewery that doesn't, I don't even know if they distribute outside of Illinois, at least this beer.
Yeah, I've never seen any of their beers before.
No, and for one that's only been around since 2016. Oh, where do you think we land?
Well, it's a pretty good lager. I think I will probably go a 3.5 on it, but I think it's sitting at a 3.3.
I'm gonna say 3.79, and some of that rating goes into just the uniqueness of the can.
Ooh.
So getting a little extra from me just for the
a little
serving.
Bump.
Yeah.
See, you get a little bump.
A little pump. Isn't that guy too? I don't know.
Yes.
I think you're right. So Untapped 3.51.
Ooh. Dolan.
So Dolan, you should have stayed right at your 3.5. You would have been right
I should have.
there.
Yeah, I should have.
Here's the thing. Like, what I think, what would I rate this? So if I went to sit down at the brewery and I said, I order a flight or whatever, and I see the light lager on there and where I'm at kind of in my beer journey and, what I gravitate towards right now, I would have a hard time ranking any under 4 because it's just a good everyday drinker. It's just like, this is beer flavored beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've kind of come to a place where we had, beer started that way. Craft beers did. And then we got some hops, and then we just had those West Coast styles, and then it went nuts. Right. And now people are trying to get off that roller coaster and just start over again, I think. So a lot of breweries are making these kind of beers, and people are drinking these. Like, there's people that actually say this is their favorite style again, instead of, pineapple milkshake IPAs or whatever. So if that's what you're looking for, clean and refreshing, crisp, this one was it.
I think they should do. They should rip off the Tostitos and do a Lil Buddy hint of lime, or Lil Buddy instead of a little lager, it could be Lil Buddy a little lime.
little lime buddy.
Little
lime wedge or something, because you put a little lime flavor in this.
Oh, little! I think
Chicago.
It's either going to be the name or a wrapper. Lil, I think you go with this. Lil Wedgie.
Yes.
If they're listening to this, and we know breweries listen because they have
Yeah.
commented before,
Yeah.
I think go ahead, feel free to use any of the names that we have used here for that. But if you would
Just,
make a prime version of this,
That'd be great.
man,
It'd
Just
be
cost you $1. You got to give us $1 to stay in line with the Formica information. You can have Lil Wedgie.
Lil Buddy.
okay, all right. So we've got a couple weeks of fun here. We go from one extreme to the other, and then we hit some Valentine's fun in the middle too. So I don't even know what's going to happen on the Valentine's episode, but then we have. Yeah, I don't even want to tease it because we go from very, very normal Pilsner to as far, I don't even know if we could go any further to the left on this. Dolan found a beer called Kung Pao Imperial Stout that seems to be made with the same things you would make Kung Pao chicken or whatever out of, which I don't know if we could go any further off the spectrum between the two.
No, I don't think so. This is a whole different ball game.
So we got 3 fun weeks coming your way. Stay with us. We're not going anywhere for a while.
Let's have another beer.
Thank you for listening to A Beer with Atlas. Special thanks to our brand team for producing the show. Each episode of A Beer with Atlas is powered by Atlas MedStaff, an industry leader in travel healthcare staffing.